So, hello folks. Welcome back. As usual, Saturday evening, at least here in Europe, in Germany. Let us check the market data for today. I think we are going to see a very exciting and interesting weekend. And maybe we have initiated this phase of the weekend. We have to see. At the moment, I'm not really convinced of what's happening, but let us check what will happen. I think we will see some volatility this weekend. Let us check what the data is showing. As usual, let us start with the weights ratio. That's not the weights ratio in Inspo. Well, I mean, that's the daily time frame, and I mentioned in my analysis yesterday in the video that the weights ratio is for me much more accurate. As soon the weights ratio daily time frame is dumping or even pumping, something big is going to follow afterwards. Usually when it dumps, that means that a big bullish price action should follow afterwards, and the opposite when it pumps. So if we check a little bit what happened in the last few days, or at least in the last even 2 weeks, the weights ratio maintained, I would say, much more, hitting the top levels, but it maintained very in the center. So nothing, it's much more indicating that the sell pressure by whales was very consistent. They formed higher lows in the weights ratio, but as you can see yesterday, that was very interesting. It didn't really dump like we had in different other occasions, but it was showing that it had its breakout from these higher lows. So for me, that means that at least yesterday, whales sent less Bitcoin to the exchanges, and that's something very interesting because when they do so, they are expecting something. So that could be a big crash, of course, but at the same time, they could indicate they are just waiting for an upper level. We have to see, as you can see here, and let me use my favorite tool, Epic Pen. I love that tool. Thank you, George, because he recommended me this tool. So as you can see, the weights ratio 30 days average was actually lifting up and indicating a rising sell pressure, or at least a preparation by whales sending more Bitcoin to the exchanges. And then it dumped once. I mean, 30 days average means, of course, it's taking, of course, this kind of dumps that happened in the last times. And right now it's lifting up again, and that's something that matches very well to the whales ratio behavior in the last few weeks. Also interesting what happened here. I mean, that's still the stablecoin supply in the market that did something like a parabolic formation. It's declining at the moment, indicating less stablecoins are circulating in the market. At least that's the CryptoQuant data. So for me, that's the key. And the stablecoin reserves on exchanges pumped very hard. It started to decline. It formed a downward trend, and since the last days, it's lifting up again. I have mentioned that on Twitter, And also in my analysis, that was wondering me a little bit because, yeah, when the stablecoin demand is rising, that means something is also going to happen, right? That could be related to derivative exchanges, indicating that these guys are going to play some longs or shorts. Um, when it's when it's related to spot exchanges, also here it doesn't directly mean that these guys are going to buy Bitcoin, but maybe some altcoins, for example. Let us take a look to the hourly time frame of the Wales ratio. For me, the hourly time frame has a different quality of information. It indicates much more short-term price actions, and I was indicating about yeah, the dump, what happened in the last few days, and I was expecting something like to reach very close a bottom, a local bottom, and to rise up again. I'm not going to repeat my analysis from the last days, but just to make such a summary, I was, you remember, I was expecting to lift up, to maintain a price, to start to distribute, something they are doing, and maybe to start to dump afterwards. As you see right now, I don't have, let me check. Well, yeah, it looks like we are on track at the moment, but we have to see if they are going to sell more Bitcoins. However, you can see here as well the stablecoin reserves on exchanges has risen a lot, and it seems it's declining now. The Wales ratio, 30 hours average, pumped afterwards and is lifting, indicating short-term whales are sending more Bitcoins to the exchanges. And the stablecoin supply in the market, after it was declining all the time, it seems it recovers a bit and it's really stable at the moment. So nothing big, at least nothing different to what I have mentioned in the last few days in my analysis. Let us check if we can detect here something interesting. That's my chart related to the spot markets. We have the green line here, that's the stablecoin inflows, the red line, the stablecoin outflows, and the orange one, of course, the Bitcoin color, the Bitcoin inflows. I don't use the Bitcoin outflows because for short-term price action, it's not really useful in my opinion. For trends, of course, just to see, for example, if yeah, if someone is accumulating. But I use different indicators just to detect accumulation. So yeah, I don't need the outflow. However, we can check here. We received today, and that's the biggest volume in Bitcoin inflow today, and that's really very low. I mean, we can see, you will see the count here. Hopefully you can see that. 1,137 Bitcoin, and just an hour later, 500 Bitcoin. That's nothing. That's really, really low. If you compare that to the days before, that's really nothing. But even the stablecoin inflows are very flat. However, we received yesterday a lot of stablecoin inflows, also some outflows. But as you can see here, let me show you the net flow. As you can see here, we receive much more stable coins to the spot exchanges, and the big question here is, are these guys going to make a pump and buy a lot of Bitcoin, or is that a rotation operation indicating these guys are preparing to buy altcoins instead? That happens in the past. They used to make such kind of rotations. They accumulate stablecoins on the exchanges to buy altcoins and to start an alt season. That's possible, But yeah, I don't find at the moment, I don't find any signals that could let me detect such kind of preparation at the moment. The only thing we know is that they have started to accumulate a huge amount of stablecoins on spot exchanges. And you know, spot exchanges, the only opportunity or the only option to use these stablecoins is to buy assets, to buy altcoins or Bitcoin. So very strange what's happening there. I don't see, I mean, that was here almost $800 million or $700 million. I don't see that money here right now. Okay, the volume wasn't really high. Um, I don't see any big accumulation at the moment. So I'm wondering what these guys have in mind actually. Um, that's a chart. I will show you that, but at the moment not really useful in my opinion. I'm comparing here stable coins between derivative and spot exchanges just to see if I can detect a big difference between both. And I'm doing the same with Bitcoins. That's the reserves. So you can see even here the stablecoin reserves on derivative exchanges is lifting up very hard, and even in the spot market, it's lifting up very, very hard, very strong. That's really strange in my opinion because I mean the stablecoin reserves and on an exchange should rise, for example, if you are selling your asset for stablecoins. But even then, you would, yeah, if you are not withdrawing these stablecoins directly afterwards, okay, it maintains on the exchange. At the same time, if you are buying, for example, on spot market, um, an asset, it would rise as well because you are converting your stablecoins. You take your stablecoins to the exchange or you buy them directly at the exchange, and then you buy, for example, Bitcoin. So you are converting your stablecoins to Bitcoin, and of course, then the reserves on the exchange should rise afterwards. And that's wondering me because if you take a look here, and that's the spot market, and at the same time, we can see the Bitcoin reserves on exchanges is, well, not really declining. So my question is, what's happening there? It seems that's more related to altcoins then, because we are talking here about spot markets and not about derivatives. That's derivatives. We can see the stablecoin reserves on exchanges is rising. At the same moment, we can see the Bitcoin reserves on these exchanges rised as well and maintained stable and declined a little bit. So at the moment, it's really strange what's happening related to the to the exchanges, and I have tried to figure out what's happening, if I can find anything that could be useful for us. Uh, Unfortunately, I couldn't. Also very interesting is that the Bitcoin reserves on exchanges was rising all the time. All the time. As you know, and I have mentioned that in my analysis in the past many times, the Bitcoin reserves on centralized spot exchanges only rise when the exchange is making an internal operation, for example, an internal transaction like Binance is refilling their reserves of Bitcoins and buying from Coinbase. That could be, but even then it would be neutral because we are seeing here all exchanges. So cold wallets maybe, I really don't get that because if you check the price action, it was lifting up. I mean, the price action when it's lifting up, and I can explain why it's lifting up while their reserves of centralized spot exchanges were rising because they used futures to push the price up, of course, while they started to sell. But even then, it's the big question what's going on there, because we are still having a lot of Bitcoins, almost 12,000 Bitcoins, more than March 22nd. So is someone preparing something? Is someone just accumulating Bitcoins on the exchanges to dump them? We need to see. I mean, we can see a lot of different data, but we need to combine all this data to see if we can figure out what's going on. What is, just to figure out what smart money is going to do next, what's their plan. For that, we have to check the future market, option market, and so on and so forth. And that's, of course, part of today's market analysis. So it's very interesting. The Bitcoin reserves on exchanges, of spot exchanges, rised. It declined a little bit, but we are still in plus. And that's something we should keep in mind, because that's not really bullish. But we will see. We have here, let me refresh the website just a little bit. We have here our future, yeah, thanks. Our future market. And that's all aggregated. Okay, we have the aggregated funding rate, we have the aggregated open interest, and we have the aggregated leverage ratio. We have also the aggregated stablecoin activity, so indicating inflows and outflows, and also the Bitcoin spot activity related to these derivative exchanges. Let us check about what happened, for example, to the funding rate. While we maintain the price of 48K, the funding rate went up, then we have started to go down, and now it's lifting up again. It's above of 0.01, indicating that traders are demanding more longs than shorts at the moment. And that's really interesting, while the open interest is declining, or at the moment maybe not declining, but indicating they closed positions, they get wrecked, maybe liquidated, and so on and so forth. And that makes me happy when I see the leverage ratio is just declining as well, because that means that the future traders are just using less leverage. But also here, if we check, for example, the inflows today, nothing big happened. The last big inflow in stablecoins, 100 million, just happened 1 hour ago. We had in the last almost 3 hours 200 million in stablecoins inflows related to derivative exchanges, and that's very interesting, because I have tweeted about that FTX just received 200 million US dollars from Tether Treasury. So I don't know if at least the last 100 million that we have received right now in the last hour, if that's related to that. If so, we can see nothing big happened. Just the funding rate lifted up a little bit, also the leverage ratio, but nothing big. And also related to the coins, so the Bitcoins for coin margin contracts, the futures. As you know, you can use Bitcoin, but also stable coins to as margin for your future contracts. It makes sense to use for bullish price action if you are going too long to use, for example, Bitcoins. While if you are more bearish and you want to short, it makes, of course, more sense to use stablecoins for that, just because your underlying asset, in that case Bitcoin, for example, if you are using Bitcoin for margin, would just decline in value while you are shorting. So You can do that, but it's not the best way to do it. If you're shorting, of course, it makes more sense than to short with stablecoins instead of bitcoins. So if we see some big Bitcoin movement related to derivative exchanges, that could be very useful information, and maybe also very bullish. For example, here we received 2,500 Bitcoin, and just afterwards the funding rate have started to rise up. But 2,500 Bitcoin, we can see here we had an outflow of 2,500 Bitcoin afterwards, just an hour later. So I don't know if that was a quick transaction or just coincidence. I don't know. But however, we can see here a lot of stable coins just yesterday, and now the stable coin inflows is rising again. We didn't really had big outflows, indicating that we still have a lot of stable coins accumulated on these exchanges waiting for an operation, or maybe just placed and they are still working. In that case, as we are dropping in price, let me check, because the market is we are still dropping in price. So there could be an indicator that these guys use the stablecoins to short instead. Okay, we don't know where they start to place those, but maybe here, maybe they use them also for longs. I don't really know. Sometimes it's really useful and sometimes it's not. As mentioned, we need to check all data and make our conclusions afterwards. This chart is showing you here the Bitcoin reserves on exchanges, only the spot exchanges. As mentioned, it went up. It's declining now a little bit, but not really big. If we can check can we check that? How much bitcoins we have compared to, for example, 22nd. Yeah, 11,560 bitcoin almost. So the question is, why? Why are those bitcoin right there? Usually, when the reserve went up, they start to dump or something. So also here we need to see. It was in the last few days very interesting to see what miners are doing, and miners are very active at the moment. A follower of mine just detected, for example, yesterday a big outflow of miners of 6,800 bitcoins, but it's not really clear what happened there, because at the same moment we received from Whale Alert a notification that was related to empty gogs, that empty gogs had a transaction that matches perfectly to this one, 6,800 bitcoins. I guess, I don't know if that's actually CryptoQuant or Whale Alerts. One of them, it seems, has labeled this wallet in a wrong way, because the only way how it would make some sense is that empty gogs, you know that empty gogs has to pay out their users 150,000 bitcoins this year. That's an agreement that they met last year. So it's possible that could be maybe one way that empty gogs is buying directly from miners some bitcoins to start to pay out their customers, but I'm not really sure. However, it's miners were showing a very interesting trade behavior, because in the last weeks and months they have started to meet every local top. I don't know how that's possible. I think they have some information advantage. They did this, it seems, this transaction, and we don't know yet if this transaction really happened, or if that's related to empty gogs, or if that's an internal one. I don't really know, but it was very interesting to see that. And we had such kind of transaction in the past, but not such a big one. If I go to the daily view, and let me close this one. I mean, in the last few days, it was really big. I mean, they had here 4,800 bitcoins. That was here at 47K. And just few days later, I mean, we are talking about March 28th and now April 1st. That's really just in less than a week, such big transactions. That makes me a little bit nervous, because the last time when they rised in transactions, or at least in outflows, that was almost the top, the local top at least, and then we dumped afterwards. So yeah, it makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest, because I don't really know what's happening there, and it seems that these miners have something in mind. Well, I don't need to show you this chart, because it's actually the same. I'm comparing here not Bitcoin and stable coins, but at the same time, I'm just comparing derivative exchanges, their behavior and activity with spot exchanges, but we have discussed that. Let us check what's happening here. For example, Kingfisher, show me your liquidity, your liquidation map, please. I don't know what's happening with the Kingfisher since some days. It takes a little bit. Let us go further then and check option trading, because yeah, it's taking more time at the moment. Okay, so let us go further to option trading and what's happening there. Not big changes. The gamma walls are still the same. We have a gamma wall at 50K, and we have the gamma wall at 46K. And those both walls are the key. So as soon as we break out and we maintain below 46K, and that's really the key. I mean, we are right now a little bit just, as you can see, we are maintaining that level. We are fighting. The volume is rising, but nothing big at the moment. So it's going to be very interesting what happens there if we will retrace and maybe pump up then, hitting 50K. I just mentioned yesterday and showed some walls related to different exchanges. They placed a lot of walls between 47.5 and 48K. It seems someone wants to avoid or to prevent a breakout at 48K to maintain a price below 50K. So that's for me the key level, 50K and 46K. If we maintain below 46K and hitting 44K, we will retrace at 44K, maintain there. But if we lose the 44K, 42, 40K should be the next levels. And 50K could be really a big challenge, just to cross that, a big challenge, because that's really a big wall. Let us check what's happening here to the gamma exposure index. I go in full screen. As you know, let me change the color. Every time, and also that I mentioned now different times, every time when the gamma, the red curve, is very high, afterwards bearish price action happened. And that happened really almost every time. And I was missing such kind of price action, and it seems, and that could be really a bearish scenario that's going to happen now. That could be it. But even then, I mean, even if we start to dump, hitting 42, 40K doesn't mean that we are going to crash hitting 30, 20, or $10,000. We have to be and to maintain very realistic. At the moment, it looks like we need a little bit more patience. So what's going on here with, I don't know what's happening with the Kingfisher. It was working just before. So let us go further and check the strategies, for example, that happens in the last 24 hours. If we go to statistics, we can see here in the last 24 hours the biggest trades. We have bull diagonal spreads 40 million and bull call spread 35 million. So really nothing big. Let us check directly these strategies if we can find anything that let us see an indication like smart money is making some bets for or against Bitcoin. We have here bull diagonal spreads call premium 500K, that could be interesting, and bull call spread 500K. Let us check both. So we have here, that's April, May. Yeah, okay. We have here someone just shifted, it seems, their trades from end of May expiry. He was holding calls at 65K and switched, and that's really interesting, to the end of April expiry, and he reduced his expectations, it seems, calls for 51K. And the most interesting thing here is he is spending much more money in premium. So that looks like a risk management operation. It seems he was very bullish and is now adjusting a little bit his expectations and reducing them. That could be a sign, but let us check more. That's the bull diagonal spread. Let us check the bull call spread. What's happening here? Let me check some YouTube questions. Is it 45K or below? Basit Ali, I don't know actually what you mean with 45K. Maybe you can precise your question. So if we take a look here, for example, that's really big. Okay. Also here, that's really interesting. This guy is spending a lot of money in premium, also reducing his expectations, it seems. He sold the 52K calls and is buying 44K calls and paying a lot of premium for that. So not extremely bearish, okay? That doesn't mean the market is going to crash tomorrow, but it seems, and it's giving us a signal like option traders are just reducing their bullish expectations. And that's really interesting. But unfortunately, nothing that short term, nothing that, I don't know, an expiry for April 8th would be very useful. I mean, as you remember, yesterday I have showed some options for the expiry 8th of April. Let us check here if we can. Bull call spread 1 million, that's nice. Reverse put calendar, 2 millions. That was maybe the biggest, it seems. No, the biggest is custom strategy as usual. Let us take a look to the custom strategy. If we can find one that could be very helpful. It is one, but he sold. Okay, that's actually not that bearish. He sold his puts with 42k, and he bought some, paying a little bit more in premium for April 8th expiry, and he bought instead puts 45k. So it seems he's not expecting such a kind correction or dump anymore. It's interesting, but it's not the biggest trade here. So, and the other things happening here, okay, that happened already. We can forget that. But let us check more. Short put, no, that's not that interesting. Short risk reversal, 1 million. Reverse put calendar. Reverse put calendar. That is reverse put calendar. And we can see here, okay, these guys are expecting a price level of 45k or below 45k end of June instead of September. This could, I mean, we can see, or we can talk about the interpretation. I guess that could be even bullish for end of the year, because he is expecting we will maintain a level below 50k until, I don't know, August, for example, but afterwards maybe go up again. But in that case, if you check, for example, the premium, he did a very good trade with that. He got 560,000 and he bought the 45k puts for 377k. So it was a very nice trade. I think that's much more related to the premium and less to his expectations. Sometimes that's a combination of both. But however, I would say, as usual, on weekends, option trading volume maintains relatively low. And the Kingfisher is not doing anything. What's happening here? Just give me a second, please. Because I had everything prepared already, and it seems, well, it's not doing anything. Okay, that's not cool. That's absolutely not cool. I don't know if the Kingfisher is right now just offline. Sorry, guys. I will tweet that, but I can't see that right now. Let us check what's happening right now in the market. That's the CVD. As you know, I love to see just if these guys are accumulating short-term. CVDs is just indicating distribution and accumulation in very short-term periods. Okay, don't try to use CVDs in 1 day time frame. It doesn't make any sense. So for me, I just want to see if these guys are accumulating short term, for example, as they did here. Okay, and if they maintain that. If I see, for example, they use more futures to decline or just to close their positions, but they buy even more, that's bullish for me. That means these guys have a preference. They want to buy Bitcoin spot and less stable coins or Bitcoins related to future contracts. And unfortunately, that's not really happening. We can check a little bit what happened here. And you can see, and that's really a trend. And I don't like that. And that's just the reason why I'm not bullish, because I'm missing that. Even if we would go up to 50K, it's not going to flip me bullish. I mean, bullish for me is if I see that traders, whales are accumulating Bitcoin. They have an interest to buy the spot. That would be bullish. But this chart here is showing me that we have a big problem in the market, and that's just a lack of demand. I mean, check this here. I mean, that's the aggregated CBD spot. Then they go up. That's not bullish. That's bullish. But unfortunately, the wrong asset. That's futures. That's futures. And they are using futures to sell spot. They buy just, I mean, that's quick profit. That's just really quick profit. I buy low, I maintain a price with my future contracts. I can sell here on an upper level. And when I'm already done and I need a little bit more of dip, I just let it dump. I accumulate quick again, I maintain the price again, and then I let it dump again. And that's the whole game we are playing since weeks. And that's not bullish. That's for me not bullish. I just want to see how they accumulate, how they use less future trading and they accumulate, how they buy Bitcoin. And that's not happening. And when people are saying, but Inspo, when are you ready to flip to bullish? I was bullish 2021, at least the first 6-7 months. That was beautiful. We had a good demand. For example, last summer we could see how, for example, the market makers, in my opinion, these guys are the market makers. We can see here. Let me check if I can make that on a better way. These guys have bought in summer, okay, indicating these guys are the strong hands, just absorbed all Bitcoins from the weak hands. They have shown us how it works. They accumulated. Since then, it's nothing happening there. Absolutely nothing. Even when the price was lifting up very hard, they didn't buy the whole, I don't know, the big dip. And in my opinion, that's related to the crypto ban in China. And because we are missing a lot of demand. And that's, in my opinion, the big problem we have at the moment. I mean, these guys accumulated the whole way and have started to distribute. And that makes sense. I mean, just imagine, they have started to distribute very hard, but the demand by retailers was amazing. And I'm a big fan of the bull run we had end of 2020 and beginning of 2021. That was amazing. That was really, I felt in love in this market because that was really, whales were pushing, retailers were pushing, then you have seen the first distribution effects by market makers, and even then the price was lifting up even more because retailers were buying. That's not happening. That's really not happening. And yeah, it hurts, but it is as it is. And if we pump up, that happens usually at the moment on weekends, low volume, and if we check the trading bots, we will see then big activity. Not only with bullish price action, also with bearish price action. And that's something where I say, okay, thanks, but that's not what I'm expecting from crypto market. I'm really missing much more retailers involved here and retailers demand. But I think China crypto ban, yeah, I wouldn't say it killed the market. It didn't kill the market, but it's a big challenge to trade in the market right now just because of that. Um, at least related to Bitcoin. At least related to Bitcoin. I'm not talking about altcoins. We are analyzing Bitcoin right now here. So, yeah, let me check here. Okay, nothing big happening. Let us see the exchanges and their walls. Let me change in 1 hour view time frame. Okay, perfect. And then let us come to an end. I don't know what's happening to the Kingfisher. That's really sad. It's not happening. I had everything ready. Okay. So we are here now on Coinbase, and Coinbase has removed, it seems, one of their walls. You remember I was talking about yesterday that I have detected two walls. I mean, this 270 Bitcoin wall disappeared right now. They stopped to maintain these orders open, and we still have here this 200 Bitcoin wall just at 48K. Usually when that happens, in my opinion, that has two reasons why that happens. They are not expecting a big pump, or they are not expecting a big pump soon. So it could be that this wall starts to appear later on afterwards. That could be. If both disappear, it's something like an invitation. That's something like, hey, the way up is now open for you, so just give me a nice pump so we can lift up very strong. That's not happening right now. That's Coinbase. And we have right there at 48K this wall, and the next lower wall it's 35K. So the whole way down is open, and we have our POC here at 43K. So for me, 44K would be key. If we really lose the 44K, we will maintain at 43K a little bit just to make some retests, and then dump even more, hitting 40K. If we go up, we have to see. We have to see. I mean, if we check, come on, my computer's powerful. What's going on now? Wow, it takes long. Okay, so let me see. I mean, yeah, 51 something right here could be very interesting for us if we lift up. So 50,500, but as mentioned, 50,000, we have the GAX wall there. In my opinion, that's going to be a challenge. I'm not sure. They need a lot of stablecoins, a lot of money and volume just to cross that. So I look forward in case we go up. At the moment, as I mentioned yesterday, I was expecting a fake rally that we have formed yesterday, and I wasn't that wrong. I wasn't expecting a higher price. I was expecting something like that here and then go down. Um, it seems 47,200 was enough for them at the moment, at least, and they are maintaining there, and they are right now just declining in price. We need to see what the other walls are showing us, but in my opinion, that's it. I think we will maintain now here a little bit and go more down. That's my opinion at the moment, just based on what I'm seeing here. So let us take a look to Binance. And on Binance, 48,500, 242 Bitcoin, 132 Bitcoin at 48, nothing big. I mean, really nothing big. At 50,000, we have 265 Bitcoins waiting, 116 Bitcoins waiting at 44,500. So also here, nothing big actually. Binance. Okay, Binance is limiting at 47,600. That's something. It's the same wall we have seen yesterday in my analysis, and right now, of course, making a great job with their algos, as you can see. That's why it's flashing here, and the price is following. Well, that's Bitfinex as usual. But however, 190 Bitcoins waiting there, so we are building a wall between 47,500 to 48. It keeps a little bit like yesterday. And the same here, FTX, Bitcoin perp, we can see here 237 at 47,100, well, almost 47,200. Okay, we have here also a wall, and they stopped here this wall that was a big one of 1,000 Bitcoin. So, and it seems no big limitations downwards. Well, OKEX, spoofing, Kraken limiting 48 as well, but 63 Bitcoin. Nothing big, but maybe enough for Kraken. Let us check here. That's BitMEX. Sometimes BitMEX is very useful, and we can see here BitMEX is limiting the way down at 44,700 with 3.5 million US dollars. Just waiting there. But also here, nothing really big. Let me check here. That's Binance Futures. Big activity, as you can see. And here also very interesting, because in my opinion is Binance Futures the key of all exchanges if we try to check, because you can see here more volume, more volume, more volume, more volume, more volume. Every time when that happens is because these guys are just bringing the price and the level they want. They failed here, they failed here, they failed here, so the price just went up, then down. Big pressure to maintain the price, went down again. Big pressure to let it bounce, then went up, went up, went up more. Okay, I don't know. It seems a different exchange just stopped that. I guess it was Coinbase or FTX, I remember now. So then it went down again. They started to bring the orders to prevent it. Then the price tried to go up. Also here you can see they prevent it again, and it's going down. And as you can see right now what's happening, so here they are accumulating orders to bring the price up again, and that's what's happening. So for me, and I can just say, if you want to check what the price is going to happen, because the biggest volume is happening at Binance Futures and Binance Spot, and they are very accurate. So when I see that, I know exactly, okay, we are not going to pump or to moon, or we are not going to dump, and we will maintain here, because you can see what the price is doing. Let us see Bitfinex futures, nothing big. Kraken futures, Also nothing. OKEX. OKEX is really hardcore. I mean, that's really hardcore what OKEX is doing. And if the export, also nothing big, it seems. No, 130 Bitcoin waiting at 47.5. So we are maintaining, it seems, the same level like yesterday. They are limiting the way up between 47.5 and 48K. So even if we go up, even if we would go there, maybe they are going to finish my forecast or my scenario, what I mentioned yesterday in my analysis, to let distribute all the bitcoins they have purchased here, they have purchased here, and then we can go down again. That's usually what they would do. I would really expect such kind of accumulation, and if I see such kind of accumulation, then they will flip me to bullish, because then I know these guys are interested in the underlying asset, in Bitcoin itself, just to sell in the way up. That would be, for me at least, a signal these guys are not just manipulating the price action to attract some retailers. They have an interest to buy the dip, to pump up, or at least to trigger a pump and to sell the way up. That's what whales are doing usually, and that's not happening in the last few weeks. How Kingfisher, after some hours, we can hopefully see the liquidation map, the current one. Yeah, okay, let us make it bigger. Okay, we have a little bit less than before, because I have detected some big liquidation volumes above of 400 million. Now we are below 350 million, but it keeps to be very high. And if we go below 45,200, we would start to liquidate them. Of course, we don't know if they are using stop loss. I guess many of them are using stop loss. We will trigger their stop loss and we wouldn't liquidate them. But in case they are not using stop losses, we would start to liquidate them. However, also here, if you can see the volume as it seems reduced in the last few days. We have the big volume right now here, and that's relatively close to our current price. Of course, we have here more volume than in the short side. Um, Nothing where I would say nobody should spend any cent just to wreck them, because it's really not big. But I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, at the moment, I would like to say I'm bullish. I would like to say, hey, next week we will hit, I don't know, 60K, but at the moment it doesn't look like. That's my personal conclusion and not financial advice, as you know. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing. We have here in the order books 5,000 bitcoins. Let us check. Okay, the biggest one, yeah, 50,000 is key level, as you know. We 440 bitcoins are waiting there, but of course, as you can see here, we have at 47k 2,300 bitcoins waiting. If we check the buy side 46,500, for example, we only have, well, it's not just only, but compared to the sell side, we have there 1,500 Bitcoin. So it doesn't look like we are going to pump above of 47k. Let me reduce maybe a little bit here the order book grouping. No, nothing is doing now. Why not? Jesus, guys, I'm streaming. Give me what I need. Okay, thank you. So we can see 46,200 looks like a little challenge at the moment, but they are, yeah, they are bringing more bitcoins there, more bitcoins, more bitcoins. Someone is selling, it seems. While we have a buyer order of 1,000 bitcoin at 46. So I think it looks like we are going down. Look that. I mean, 45, 45,900 and 45,500 could be also very interesting. But at the moment, it looks really more bearish than bullish. So taking into account what we have seen, I would say they will surprise us. They will surprise us. The funding rate is high. People are expecting more a bullish price action, and in my opinion, that doesn't look like. Absolutely not. So let me check so we can see some POC. I don't know why it takes so much time to load. Maybe it's my internet, but I can't imagine that. Well, as mentioned, so in my opinion, they are doing exactly the same they did before, and in my opinion, we will go down, unfortunately. And 44K, so we are talking about this range here, 44K, that would, for me, the most interesting part. Because if we lose the 44K, we are going to dump hitting 42K or 40K. Something like, and that matches actually to my Thursday option trading analysis, where we have detected some interesting bearish trades. It wasn't in short term, that was for April, indicating that these option traders were expecting a price below 42K or 40K. So in case we lose the 44K, I see a dump heading 42 to 40K and go back there where we have found a nice liquidity. Now we have to see. So I would say thank you very much. We are almost done for today. I don't know what's happening and why it's taking so long to load my charts. Huh, I don't know. Okay. I would say let us talk about your questions. I see I, 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 I see some questions here on YouTube. I guess we have some questions also on Discord. Um, we are streaming 1.5 hours now. That was a long one. Not expecting such a long one, actually, but I know I have talked a lot. So let me check what we see here. Viking is asking me the outlook for the next month. Well, related to the data I'm seeing, I would say we will have some more bearish weeks maybe, but I see some light at the end of the horizon. Just based on what smart money is making, so related to option trading, because it seems that more and more money of these guys are shifting to derivative um, assets like option trading, future trading, more than spot, and that hurts to me because yeah, that's in my opinion not the right way. But even if we go up to 50K, and even if we go to 52K, I think that could be a short-term bullish price action, because just to distribute even more, and that's not bullish. That's, in my opinion, not bullish. Maybe they need that. Maybe they have some fear related to some regulation framework that's coming to the US. It's possible. You know, these guys are very good networked, and they have information advantage. So that just to minimize their risk, that's possible that they are doing such kind of move. In my opinion, we should see something bullish, maybe after June. Maybe we are repeating what we have seen last year. Something like. I'm not extremely bearish. I'm just short-term bearish. We have to see what the time brings, and that's what I'm saying to many people. Don't try to predict the next few months because the market and the global situation is too dynamic at the moment. It's not the way just to try to forecast or predict the next few weeks, because if tomorrow something big is happening to banks, or if the Fed is bringing some bad news related to the Russian-Ukraine war, they will crash your trade strategy for sure. However, the situation right now, in my opinion, I'm very short term, but maybe bullish midterm, because I think they they need an exit pump anyway. Can you analyze UMA coin? No, mate, I can't. I will do that maybe when I have a little bit of time and check some altcoins as well, and I can make some analysis on them. But I'm already more focused on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the father of crypto, as we know, with the big dominance, and many altcoins are just following Bitcoin. That's the main sense of that. Another question from Mirko Franke. And did you had already a chance to look into the Waves Ponzi? If yes, what's your opinion on that? By the way, great work every day. Really appreciate that. Thanks, Mirko. No, I didn't. I know Waves. I hold actually a bag of Waves last year, and I just sold them at the top. At least that was the top last year. But no, thanks. I will check that and give some feedback about that. So another YouTube question from Basit Ali. As you said, it's ultra bearish. So I'm asking if I'm going below 44k or below 44k in coming days. Well, as mentioned, I at the moment we have some key levels, and 46k is a key level. They will try to maintain this 46k. They will try and fight, even if we go down to 45,500 or 45. They will try to push the price back above for 46k. The same would happen if they try, for example, to have a breakout at 50k. Someone, smart money, market makers, whoever, will try to push the price again below 50k. And that's the game we are playing. So for me, 46k is a key level, like 50k is a key level. Short-term bullish, if we can break out 50k, maintain above a 50k, that would be maybe the opportunity then to go long without to get, to be in risk to get liquidated very fast and quick. The same if we are losing the 46k and we will maintain below of the 46k, hitting 44k, and 44k would be for me a level where we'll maintain there a little bit and retest again if we will go up or down. So if we lose 46k, if we maintain below 46k, and you see the volume is reducing, for example, that would be something where I would say, looks like I have to go short here, for example. Another YouTube question, ZX90, how big of a driver are option markets for the overall markets? Well, future trading and option trading both are making just for example, just to give you a comparison, uh, future trading related to Bitcoin, just only to Bitcoin, makes almost 60 to 70% of the whole volume of the market, and that's only the future market. So it makes sense then that the future contracts can maintain the price while whales have the opportunity to sell without that you as retailer would notice that. You would think these guys are buying. No, they are not buying. They are maintaining the price with futures while they are selling their spot bitcoins. And retailers just hiding this from retailers, of course. So just imagine, I mean, the option market is also very, very big and has a big volume. So for me, at least, derivative markets is getting more and more, in, yeah, in my opinion, as analyst, analyst, it's more interesting to check the future and derivative market than the spot market. For me, the spot market is just then interesting when I detect some big inflows, because that is indicating me a short-term price action. That's the only thing. So another question from Mason Jeremy. What do you think about the spreads? Still a negative since 4 months. Yes, you're right. Something I really have to invest more time to check, to be honest. Um, I have checking them. Oh, I see. No, that's a different question. Um, so I need actually to spend more time just to check also and analyze more deeper what's happening behind. And I would like to make some tutorial videos also to explain more the whole stuff behind of option trading, because many traders and analysts out there are undervaluing option trading, and I think the smart money and market makers are using option trading much more than many are expecting. YouTube question set X. Hey Inspo, what's your go-to setup for scalping on high block? I don't get your question, bro. Scalping, what do you mean? Are you talking about maybe this chart here? I'm using two charts. Maybe you are talking about the liquidation charts I was showing just few days ago. That's the liquidation levels. That's only showing you the liquidation levels. So when, for example, they start to liquidate, you can see which levels they prefer to liquidate. Some future traders. Let us take a look what happened. It takes a little bit. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going. Yeah, we can see that now. And yeah, you can see. So what happens now? I think that's my PC. Yeah, it takes everything much longer today. Usually you can see here they have liquidate a lot of shorts. Why? That's you have shorts here. For example, they liquidated a lot of shorts with a leverage of 25, but also longs. You have here high leverage longs with 100, for example, 50. Oh no, they are shorts. Oh yeah, they are shorts. Sorry, not longs. They are shorts. High leverage shorts and 25 leverage shorts. They liquidate a lot of them. Why? Just due of volatility. That's the thing. So, and the volatility is mainly driven by trading bots. So it's funny for them just to liquidate some future traders. Rock'n'Roller DE, hey bro. The last times when they remove walls we have dumped later on, so be prepared. Yeah, that's the point. I mean, usually when they go up and absorb the walls afterwards, they flip and we dump. Even if you say, hey, what's going on? What's wrong with you? I mean, you absorbed now the walls. No, we can go up. No, they make the opposite. And yeah, that's also a point we should have in mind. So for me, 48K is between 47.5 and 48K is at the moment where I would say that's the scope. That's where we have need to see what's happening there. Um, at the moment, let me check what's making the price. Yeah, I mean, we had a higher volume declining and just dumping, and we have right now just a lower volume lifting up again. In my opinion, yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Nobody is really making any sales at the moment, and that would explain why the volume is not really very high. Another question, sorry if I miss it, but did you see the layered bids on Bitfinex spot? No, I didn't. Actually, I didn't. Let me check that. Did you see the layered? Well, yeah, we are talking about this cluster of low volume, I guess, at 44K. Um, you guys can't see that. Maybe I can. Now you can see that. We have actually what he is talking about is they like to create this kind of low volume wall. So they create a cluster of orders between 30 and 50 Bitcoin each, and just to bring this limitation. They did Binance futures just 2 days ago as well, and they absorbed all, and then they did the opposite. So they instead then of pump even more, they dumped afterwards. So yeah, thank you for the chart. 44K is, as mentioned, a point where I would say if we go to 44K, we will maintain there. I said this even without to see this chart, and that's the key level. They will start to retest, maybe to go up or to go down even more. If we lose the 44K, 40K to 40 or 42K to 40K is the next level for sure. So let me check more questions if I find. Duketassos. So far EU is gonna hurt really bad retail market with current board. Yes, unfortunately, you are absolutely right here. Oh, sorry. Okay. No, voting for something that they have absolutely no no idea of how it works and what it is. Well, to be honest, I'm also very pissed about this vote, because crypto is the future. I'm convinced that crypto is the future, and many companies will use crypto and their technology in the future for sure. So just to bring some kind of regulations, in my opinion, that's nonsense. That's really limiting the opportunities to bring something useful in the EU, because we are seeing at the moment in what kind of situation um, we are with the Ukraine and Russian war. We are not only talking about the energy, we are talking about investments to, for example, the European industry and companies. If that maintains and the tensions Also with China starts to rise, for example, and China has invested a lot of money in European companies, if they start to withdraw this money, for example, in my opinion, crypto could be a very nice opportunity to invest money and to make Europe maybe a big not only because the US, we know the US is very motivated as well, and Dubai, for example, is also working on it, but it could be a nice alternative and a plus for Europe, and to bring such kind of regulations that let retailers not use any decentralized wallets anymore, and even to bring some problems to exchanges where Coinbase already said, if you are bringing really this low, we will leave the European market because it doesn't make any sense for us anymore. And that's absolutely not useful and helpful, and I'm 100% with you. It seems that these guys didn't really get what crypto is and the opportunities behind crypto industry at all, unfortunately. So I would say the last question, also a YouTube question. I meant, what's your primary indicators and data for scalping? The sentiment, the sentiment of retailers. No, I have different one. I have, for example, a nice Russian project. The Russian project that's called KTB. Um, a follower told me about that, and I checked that. These guys are really trying to figuring out how yeah, smart money market makers are trying to liquidate, for example, retailers. Here, for example, showing that retailers are now a little bit just going more to shorts. So in case that starts to go up again, it's a big opportunity that we will pump afterwards just to liquidate them. But I'm using different indicators for them. For example, what I also like, and that's not necessarily to show some scalps, but I like, for example, the cipher indicator. It's very useful in my opinion. It brings a lot of different informations right there, and many times very accurate. So I use that. I use, for example, made also an analyst on Twitter just told me about, for example, Chop. Chop is a very interesting and useful indicator for TradingView. It's showing you always the situation close before we have big price action moves. So, for example, if I see it's rising a little bit, I know we are not ready to make, for example, a big dump. It gives me good opportunities to see some entry points, for example, Chop. That's the name, Chop. So Cypher is very useful, Chop is very useful, the project KTB is very useful, and of course, from High Block Capital, I use also their charts. You have the aggregated funding rates here. You have market order average size, also aggregated. For example, when you see the market orders are rising, it seems something big is going to happen because someone is preparing and making some big orders. And you have here the fear and grid index, also very interesting just to see the sentiment of the traders. And usually when it's green or when the traders have a bullish sentiment, you know the market is going to make exactly the opposite. So that's kind of indicators I'm using. Well, that was a long session today. I wasn't expecting that, but sometimes that's necessary, in my opinion. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Then I would say I would like to close the session for today. If you still have any questions, just drop me a line, just a comment on YouTube, or send me a DM on Twitter. I know I have a lot of pending DMs there. I have to answer them. So sorry, guys, if I'm not replying immediately afterwards. Um, but I will reply that to you, and of course use also my Discord server. If you are there, you can send me there some questions as well. I try to respond to all questions, of course. Well, I would say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and big love from my side. Take care, trade carefully. I think this weekend is going to be very volatile, and just have in mind 47.5 to 48K. That's a possible level we could revisit. If we go down 44K, also here, keep in mind we will make some retraced. We will maintain this level a bit. If we go even more, we have a breakout below 44K and we maintain there, we will see at least 42K very soon. Just keep it in mind. Thank you very much. All the best to you. And Monday, I will provide the new daily analysis. All the best, and yeah, see you soon. Bye bye, and thanks.